this is this is gonna be that video. I swear this is gonna be that video. And like this is gonna be probably one of the not wildest video, but definitely trying to like one of the most subjective videos that I'm gonna have to make. And always was around one man in professional wrestling. And probably this is probably the biggest piece of wrestling death news that I've probably ever seen. Like I remember Randy Savage being big when it happened. Then Ultimate Warrior when in 2014, I remember that being pretty big. But then came on July the 24th, 2025. And by the title and the thumbnail, we're going to talk about the passing of Teddy Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan. And we're going to talk about what will truly ultimately be the legacy of one Hulk Hogan, aka Teddy Bollea. Because I don't think we have seen in terms of a wrestler that they're more to like help an industry, more to help out himself and the business, and then more to ruin and destroy all that reputation more than Teddy Bollea, more than Hulk Hogan. And like he fucking did it to himself. And like the thing about with Hogan, when it comes to Hulk Hogan, I like I never grew up on him. I grew up much more later as I became a wrestling fan. But I never grew up on him. So it's like I pretty much been indifferent with him, honestly. Because like here's the thing. When it comes to Hogan's biggest wrestling that when I'd say Hogan being the biggest wrestler that I cannot, it's like he's probably the most important, the most significant figure in terms of a pro wrestler that pro wrestling has ever seen. And then now probably forever. Like I can admit to it. Like but then you consider the last 20 years of his life, how he lived with himself. It was fucking embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Like and like he had no one blaming himself for that. It's just the sad truth. So it's like I will try to like balance it out here. But when it comes to Terry Bollea, aka Hulk Hogan, I don't think anybody threw more money into big arenas, more than the Hulkster, Hulk Hogan. Like the shit he did in national expansion with WWF in the mid to late 80s, early 90s. That shit was fucking big. The fuse he had with, with Piper, with Orndorff, with Andre, and then Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior. Like, like, he, like, those few did big business in mid to late 80s, early 90s. Like, he was a central point of all that. So, like, WrestleMania 3, the Body Central is probably the most iconic visual moment in all wrestling. When you think of iconic visual moments in all pro wrestling, you can think to that one, like the Body Slam around the world. And then and then after that, people weren't feeling that much Hulkamania. Was starting to get a little dry. And then he went to WCW, and it got worse as a big Hulkamania. The say your prayers in your vitamins became also stale. That he basically had to reinvent himself, and that's where the New World Order, the NWO happened. And I think Hogan's greatest legacy to his pro wrestling career is being the spearhead of two biggest wrestling periods. One was that mid to late 80s, early 90s national special WWF, and then the Monday Night Wars and WCW NWO era, and he was a big star in two different wrestling companies. Nobody can really say that. No one can hold that claim other than Hulk Hogan and the NWO shit, and then the feud with Sting in 96, 97. The biggest business that WCW ever made was Starrcade in 1997. Even though that match fucking stunk up the place. That did big business. And then I think when it comes to Hulk Hogan, the more things you read about him, and I think this is kind of a case of any celebrity or wrestler. The more things you read about them, the more you start to like them less. And that pretty much came to be with Hulk Hogan. I mean, we talk about now pulling, we talk about his creative control, especially that WCW period, and although he being such a logical, pathological liar that he pretty much been, always, the minute, always retelling the version of his own truth. If he always tried to pull the version of his own truth when talking about only using creative control once in WCW, which we all know that was BS. And how he always wanted to be high Hulk Hogan in 1990 after WrestleMania 6 against the Ultimate Warrior, which pretty much came to be not true. All the pathological lies that he made over the years. Then we get to create control. We're talking about the Stark Knights. The reason why that match sucked is because of allegedly what been said of Hogan telling referee Nick Paget to count nice as slow as you can be, brother. And that's pretty much what happened. And all the union, him pushing back the union at WrestleMania 2, where Jesse Ventura was asking who pushed back the union. And then after many years, after Vince telling Jesse that it was Hogan, they never talked. Jesse never looked Hulk Hogan the same way. And all this shit, and like, it's like the more things you read about them, the more you like them less. So it was like, yeah, and then the creative control back to the Beast 2000, like, that was a whole fucking mess. Like, I think like that was a whole mess that I don't think anyone like could have salvaged that, but Hogan was a part, so yeah, so that happened. But then he went did his shit back in WWF WWE 2002. He had that match with Rock at WrestleMania 18. And that probably one of my favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. Probably top 3, I must say. Like the energy in that crowd, and how they were so much against the right, so fully behind Hulk Hogan, like, was tremendous. Like the hulking up of Hogan and hulking up and the crowd going and the crowd volume turned to 180 to like 200. It was incredible. So, but I can't say he did do his jobs in wrestling, because he certainly did with Rock at WrestleMania 18, Ultimate Warrior WrestleMania 6, even for Goldberg in WCW. That was the prime of Bill Goldberg's career, was that victory over Hulk Hogan on Nitro in '98. And yeah, like, and yeah, he did business with Rock at WrestleMania 18. Then he came back as the Red Yellow Hulkamania after that failed NWO run in 2002, which was never gonna work, especially since they were getting behind Hogan more and more. So they had turned back into babyface Hulkamania. He won the Undisputed title. They lost it a month later. Then he had a program with Vince during WrestleMania 19. He had that match against Vince. He won. Then turned to Mr. America-ish. That was actually one of the funniest works that Hogan has ever done in his entire career. Was that. And then you look 2005, the Shawn Michaels match, and at SummerSlam, and yeah. This is what around the time I got into wrestling, and like, I remember like, as a kid, like, what the fuck is going on with this? Because Michael was just overselling the crap, like he was all over the place. And then you come to find out that this was that feud with Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan was supposed to be a multi-match feud, and then turned to one, which Hogan lobby he didn't want to do all the matches with HBK, and that happened, and yeah. And then he had that final WWE match against Randy Orton and SummerSlam, and that I can remember like the not really feeling Hogan like it's like why did he even as a kid like why did he pull not pull over Randy Orton? Like it was so ridiculous. Like looking back, like a 26-year-old Randy Orton having to sell and lose to basically at that point a 63-year-old man. So yeah. And then all the run in TNA with Bishop, how he destroyed the identity, and I think that was the point I completely had it with Hogan at that point. Like I just lost patience when that TNA run happened, and I think he kind of brainwashed Daisy Carter in a way because Daisy thought Hogan was gonna be all that since he was the biggest name in all wrestling. He thought he was gonna be the rocket fuel that take TNA to the next level, and it never happened. It never occurred. In fact, TNA's popularity took to a nosedive. Like it took them maybe years to repair the reputation of that brand because of the association of Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. So yeah. So like yeah. So it's like yeah. So that happened. He had a mini comeback to WWE in like the 2014 2015 ish, and then he got fired because of that one fateful date. Fun fact: Hulk Hogan passed away 10 years to the day that the audio leak of his races went. And that changed everything. Like when it came to fans, when it comes to wrestling fans' opinions of Hogan, that's when it changed. Was that racist fan? And going back early, it's not so much. It's not. I don't think it's even so much that he said those things. It's like the context of what he said, and like he came off. He came off without a clear lack of empathy and so much of just bareness to like black people, and like not fully understanding the gravity of those things when he talked about Nick and talked about his daughter with with a black dude, dating a black dude. He won't allow that, and he won't incarnate his family to the black people, and so those things like that, and it's like that that like that is why people feel the certain way about Hogan. It's because of that, and like I said, because he showed a clear lack of empathy and showed more bareness, and like that was on top of other things that Hogan with the pathological lies that he said over the years, his voting against with the president of the United States, and all those type of things. But that, I think that, above all else, will be his biggest stain to his legacy, was the racist man, and not really apologizing for any of that shit. He didn't really apologize. He only apologized for being caught. Like, like he, like he had that one meeting with the locker room, and he pretty much said, for all sense of terms, you gotta look out for those cameras because you never know what happens with the cameras. Like, he never said I'm sorry for what he said. He was sorry for being caught and for being an a-hole. That's pretty much what he was sorry about. And and that's why we can never fully look back fondly on him. Because it's because of that. And it's no wonder why he got mercifully booed at that Raw on Netflix premiere, on Netflix back in January of this year. That crowd pretty much told him for what he truly is, for what he truly was. Again, he had no one to blame but himself. He did this to himself, guys. For all the things that he's handled himself, and also with the family drama, he more so blurred the line and kind of made it missed it to where the person, pretty much the character of Hogan, became the person of Hulk Hogan. He never really separated that. Over time, he didn't separate the person and the wrestling character. He kind of mixed both of those things together. And, well, I think it was more the person became the character of Hogan. And, it really showed the last 20 years of how he lived his life. A guy at his age, when he died, should have been revered, adored by many wrestling fans, but you really can't. So, yeah, but I won't go too hardly on him. But if you want to, you have every right to do so. Because again, Hogan did this to himself. And his passing on July 24th made me kind of sort of feel away, because it's of how shocking it came to be. Because he pretty much seemed too fine. The dude has came off a career where he dropped all those leg drops that pretty much caused 10 fucking back surgeries, and to the point where he could barely walk at that point. So, but he was doing certain things with the media, and he was like MIA for a a good while when people not knowing what happened. Then Bubba the Love Sponge chime in on Hogan, how he was doing with his health, and certainly it seemed to be not doing the best way, and Hogan's people closest to Hogan tried to diminish that, but we didn't hear a single thing throughout Hogan, and yeah, then came the death on July 24th, and like because of how I mainly felt about him throughout all his career in the time that I watched wrestling, I was indifferent. I reacted completely indifferent toward it. Because it's like Hogan, whoa, like I said, it's gonna be the most important, most significant figure of pro wrestling. And they probably won't, in WWF, WWE probably won't guard as far as they did without the national expansion and being on the back of Hulk Hogan, Hulk Hogan. So I can say and kind of be a little bit appreciative of those things. But then it's like, you can't forget about how he lived the past 15, 20 years of his life and how he became so far up his ass. It was fucking putrid to watch it. So, yeah, that kind of became. So So Hulk Hogan to me, I can't say for anyone, but to me, he will have a legacy that is indifferent to me. Because it's like, I can acknowledge of what he has done to the business of wrestling as a whole, but you can't forget about how he was as a person, how toxic over time he became as his fandom, as his stardom, as his fame went about over the years. He just became so far up his own ass that it made me want to say fuck him. So, yeah, but like I said, for the people that like trying to like look, because I can go like, hey, F this guy, but also I can't like be fully glazed and fully adore of him. So it's like, you kind of have to look for what he was ultimately to his legacy in wrestling. So, yeah. So that will probably be his legacy to me as a wrestling fan, and what his legacy will be in wrestling. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video for Hogan. Like this video if you haven't. Subscribe over there. Tell me what's your opinions about Hulk Hogan in the comment section below. As always, I'm Jason Maines, and I approve this message.